All right. So welcome to today's webinar of the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative. Today we're going to present you the outcome documents of two work streams, food and food waste, as well as smart production and waste management. As you know, we had 7 different work streams which produced output documents, and we released them officially last week in London. And now we are going to dive a little bit deeper into the matter of these two work streams. And hopefully you will be able to use all these documents in your daily work later. As you know, this is the last webinar this year. We do have all the guidance documents which are available on our website in the resource section. You can also scan this QR code on the left and go straight into the page. But I also would like to inform you that all webinar recordings which happened so far are already online, and you can access those by scanning this QR code on the right, where you will automatically land on the Net Zero Carbon Events YouTube page. You will be, of course, also allowed to use Q&A function after each presentation is done. We had foreseen 10 minutes or so for Q&A, and just use for that the Q&A function here, so that we can basically answer all your questions. In terms of the initiative as a whole, we are very happy that we are growing. More than 640 organizations officially support the initiative from 60 different countries, which is, of course, once again showing that this is a very global movement, and we are very happy that all of you are part of it. So thank you so much, everyone who has been part of this initiative, and of course, in particular, to all those who have been working at the different work streams. More than 100 colleagues around the world were part of these work streams, producing the documents. So for this, of course, a huge thank you. And in particularly today, a huge thank you to Marloes from Jaarbeurs in the Netherlands, who has led this work stream, as well as Edwin from B-Matrix and Jörg from Holtman Plus, who have been leading the smart production and waste management work stream on behalf of IFES. In terms of the evolution, you know that we have started the initiative in 2021, and now with the guidance documents being released, we are concluding the first part, which is basically a solid foundation of different methodologies, and we hope that these methodologies will help us all to succeed the next part, which is starting next year. And this will be, of course, all about implementation. So we are already happy to see how different stakeholders are using these documents, are using the roadmap by creating their own roadmap. And of course, next year we will see more and more of this, which will hopefully inspire also others to go the same way of sustainability. And as usually, I would, of course, like to thank all of our financial contributors. This helps us a lot to drive the initiative forward. And if you would like to consider financial contribution to the initiative, you are very welcome to be part of it. As you know, there are different levels, from platinum level to green level, on contribute with as much as you can afford. So definitely, as you can see on this slide, there is a bit of room. Very welcome to be part of it. So on this stage, I would like to stop sharing my screen, and we'll give the word to Marloes. Marloes, you are very welcome to share your slides and present the outcome documents of your work stream.
Thank you. Just a question. I don't know why, but as soon as you started the recording, I got thrown out. So I'm in the meeting again, but I cannot share my screen or video. Can you have a look?
I'm very sorry about this, Marluz.
No worries.
That's weird. I need to make you co-host.
Yeah.
Now you should have the rights and hopefully you are able to share it.
This one's going the right way.
Yeah, it looks good.
Ah, there I am again. Finally, luckily. All right. So thank you, Alex, for your kind introduction. And I'm really happy to be here to present the outcomes of the Food and Food Waste Working Group. We've worked really hard in the past year on these very interesting topics, I must say. And it's been quite a challenge to make a selection of what to actually present in the final document, because there is so much to say about it. These are in itself two topics that you can write whole books about. But what we've tried to do is that to make it really practical for everyone who is working in the events industry, in order to implement the changes as soon as and as easy as possible. So what we've done, we've been focusing on 3 target groups: the organizers, the venues, and the service providers. And by doing that, we think that like what I've said, we made it practical to implement the solutions easily. So that is for everyone in the events industry easy to use. So to come back to that, this is the contents page of the final document. For today, I just made a selection of the most important slides, but hopefully everyone has received the full document. And I'm just going to highlight today what I believe are the most important ones to get things forward. So what we did is we made an introduction, which is also actually quite nice because it says more about our mission and vision, but also why we are doing it now, and also what to expect from the guide, how you can use it. And then we have actually 3 main topics. So we have the sustainable sourcing and purchasing, which is at the beginning of the total chain. Then we're going forward to the sustainable food strategies and waste management. And we've made a checklist for the 3 target groups, like I just described before, which are easily to use. And of course, we have appendixes with additional resources and a glossary. So you can find all information in additional guides. And that's important as well, because in the slides, we kept our information really strict and short. If you want to read more, you can find everything here. So this is the final working group, all ladies from all over the world, mostly Europe and the US. And these are the ones who gathered all the information, and together we made a selection of all the topics that we wanted to present in this document. So my gratitude goes to all of them for giving their participation. So for us, besides the fact that it should be a really practical document, I think that we really wanted to accelerate the adoption of sustainability in the events industry by decarbonizing and reducing food waste along the entire life cycle. And I think that that's the most important thing that we decided to do. So we started with several workshops in order to get all the information in, and then divided also work searching for from guidelines documents that could help us gathering all the information that we needed in order to get further. So what to expect from the guide? I'm going to shift my presentation a little here. And where am I now? Yeah. So here you can see a little bit of what we've been doing so far. So as you can see, the guide covers some of the most recommended initiatives, plant-based menus, of course, getting the data right. We have information on communication, education, of course, and actively engaging clients, collaborating stakeholders, and focusing on supply chain and procurement. So these are the things that are in the document. Now, why now? And I find it really important to have some focus on it also in this presentation. You can see that much of the global emissions result from food production, actually, already 26%, which is really a large part. And 6% from food wastage. And if you look at the events industry specifically, 45% of the total carbon emission can be attributed to food and beverage. So yeah, these are large numbers. So therefore, food and food waste is one of the main priorities for venues, for organizers, for service providers when they are thinking about decarbonization. So, like I said, besides the general information, we have two main chapters in the document that we have handed in. The first is the sustainable sourcing and purchasing. And the way it's built up, because I'm not going to describe and discuss all the content, but the way it's built up is that we have several topics within the chapters. This one, for example, is on consuming seasonal and local food. And we have divided in the good to know, what I can do, and your go-to resources. So these are summaries of all the information that you can find, but it's also kind of describing what is important in the subject and referring you to all the documents that you can choose from in order to get more information on them. And the same we've done for sustainable food strategies and waste management. So here you can find general information on them. We also went to agencies, discussed with them, got information from them. And then again, also, what can I do? How can I, for example, measure a food waste strategy? What questions can I ask? What data can I use? And what kind of resources can I use in order to get more from it? Then, of course, also communication. I think that that's really important, because it's also our responsibility to make our visitors, exhibitors, and all our stakeholders aware of what we are doing and why food and food waste are so important. And also the measurements that we are taking and the things that we expect from our stakeholders as well. And by communicating, we make actually our impact much bigger than when we're just keeping it to ourselves. So as a working group, we found it really important to have a focus on this chapter as well. What we find really important is to have a focus on the entire life cycle of the whole food chain, and also on the whole cycle of preparing for events before, during, and after the event. Because within the events industry and within the chain of working together, everybody has a different role, but everybody has impact on the decarbonization. So it's good to know what questions that you can ask, what things you can do, how you can prepare, how you can measure it, and what belongs to what kind of step within the life cycle. And then the checklist, I'm just going to let you see a little part of it. For what organizers and agencies can do, but we also have some highlights on what venues can do. And here you can use it really practically again, just reading it, ticking it. If you're at a really basic level, this is something also you can start with and have a look at how you can use it. If you're more advanced and already have the basic information, you can go to all the resources that we've used, and you can actually get more information from there as well. Yeah, you have a summary of what the venues can do. And then we have the appendices. So here you can see the way, with many thanks to Johanna and Alex from the working group as well. Here you can see a summary of all the resources that we've used, and this specifically for the training and education part, for example, websites you can visit in order to get more information. So even if this is too basic for you, this is the way to go for more information. And this is an example of the certifications for industry initiatives, which are, of course, also very important to use. So how many questions are there so far? It was really quickly, but hopefully you have a general idea on all the work we've done with the working group.
Marlus, thank you so much. Really impressive. So far, no questions though. And we of course encourage everyone to get to your questions across now. Just a comment from Elizabeth Marlus saying like that Marlus was a fantastic leader, and of course we agree.
Thanks. You can say that as well. Thanks.
Okay. So if there are no questions, maybe we can give the floor to Edwin and of course to Jörg. You can stop sharing, Marlus, indeed.
Yeah.
And then Edwin, you can start. And if anyone would have any questions for Marlus, I think Marlus, you're staying the whole webinar, right? So we'll be redirecting afterwards. Edwin, Jörg, the floor is yours.
Am I right now sharing?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right.
Yeah, Edwin, here we go.
Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm Edwin van der Vennet from B-Matrix, and I'm presenting this deck about smart production and waste management together with my co-chair, also in this meeting, Jörg Zeissig from Haltman Plus. We are both representing IFES, as Alex already mentioned. So this third phase document has really been focusing on a creation of a practical guidance in all the 5 work streams, of which you can see the left bottom side, which there are, if you would not know, next to the 3 core work streams that are also mentioned, measurement, carbon offsetting, and reporting. What we are not going to do is run through the whole document. That would take us 2 hours instead of 20 minutes. So the documents, and also already Alex shared a QR code where you can find the resources. It's on the Net Zero Carbon Events website, but in case you would not find it, this is the QR code directly to it. I would like to show 2 slides that were formerly produced in the second phase, but I felt it interesting to show them again to you. This first one is showing the footprint sources, and it's including travel and accommodation, which is like the big beast, I would like to say. It's a very hard topic to tackle. Other people are busy with that in our industry, but it's responsible for between 60 and 70% of the total footprint. So really substantial. If you take out travel and accommodation, then you can see the substantial importance of smart production and proper waste management. I would say on average between 40 and 50% of the remainder of the footprint is to be tackled in the smart production and waste management. So I took the possibility to include this picture I took back in 2019 in China. It's a really horrible picture, but I'm using it a lot to really emphasize that we are not there yet by far. And in order to succeed, we will really need to collaborate over all the stakeholders to get a balance between the economy, where we do it for, I guess, and the ecology in our industry. So the result should be that we can really take our economical share in the industry together with the ecological circular economy model without making, and that's a challenge I agree on, making it more expensive for the exhibitor and the visitor. So in our work stream, we have divided into 3 subgroups to provide the best guidance possible here. We prepared an overview of best practices. These have been made by 2 of our subgroups because of the different topics to be covered. One is the best practices for smart production, and the other one is the best practices for waste management. And then, in addition to providing context for each of them, we compiled a list of bullet points outlining best practice ideas to start a first thought process in your event organizations. Why? Because we really want people to get started now and get started simple. That's the main reason. The third subgroup, which is the third part also of our workstream, goes beyond that and has compiled a draft version of a material list. So this material list, Jörg is going to explain in 7 or 8 minutes. I think this material list will provide an overview of different materials that are really used within our industry. So not for the building industry, for the event industry, and their perspective on emission factors and sources, as well as the average proposed reuse rate, as we feel this is the dominating factor for industry. So, Jörg.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Edwin. So that's part number 1, the first subgroup, which has been guided and led by Gabriel from Smart Room in Barcelona and Pauline from Galice and Unimef in France. So that's basically the first one that is tackling the best practices. And Edwin, if you click that further, I think you have the full control over it. Thank you. What we did is we had handed in the several projects or several best practices from all the names that are listed in here. So that's basically a worldwide initiative. Thanks for all those guys who have handed in some best practice examples. What we thought is how do we kind of sort the whole thing, and that's where we tried to build some categories and sort even those categories by having a survey out there, and that is all you can read here is reduced to what you see on the bottom right, the final hierarchy on the items that we felt are, or that the audience felt is the order we should focus and tackle. This is beginning with reduce and reuse and recycle and refuse. So the 4 R's basically are the most valuable examples we have got so far. And yes, design and material selection is one I always like to tackle also, as this is something we need to understand as an industry, that we are all partners of, even that have the entire value chain in our hands as long as we work together. So that's a very, very big impact. And I think we need to tackle those more by inspiring others, by having good examples. So the 4 R's already mentioned, I'm not going to read the whole thing through. That is something where Edwin is always pointing that out. Get it started, start simple, but start now. There's a lot of examples listed in the full catalog we have produced on those things, what can easily be reduced. And what we try to do is not just mentioning that with bullet points, but also creating better communication and more tangible communication by creating from a couple of bullet points, 1-pagers that are appealing to others, to the entire audience and all the multipliers involved in the industry, to really generate a change in what we do every single day, as it is easy to use. So we categorize the whole thing, provide in the next phase more tangible kind of examples in 1-pagers. So basically more storytelling to really put a more impact into what we can reach with that initiative. So that would be just a short and quick run through on part number 1. Edwin, waste management.
Yeah, so after the smart production, the second subgroup is the waste management group. It's guided by Michael Foreman. He is the managing director of Don't Waste UK. So he has some experience, the least to say. So it's about its key principles and a list of bullet points, again, outlining best practices, ideas, to start the thought process on it. Talking about the key principles, here you can find them. That's 6 principles that we defined as the most important. And I feel like a lot of projects within our industry will look very similar. I just would like to point out one of them, which I feel an important one to highlight. It's the waste hierarchy to define the priorities, set targets, and create action plans. It's really based on the original 5R model that is used in all kinds of industry, but here it adds more context, and that's extremely relevant for the events industry. So this is a valuable tool that helps to structure any waste strategy and minimize environmental impacts and maximize cost savings. So talking about the best practices behind that, based on these key principles, as said, we compiled a list of bullet points outlining those best practices with the idea to start now and start simple. Thank you, Jörg, for also mentioning it, divided in 6 separate categories. So there's all kinds of best practices to be found in the document. And also, just like with the smart production, the next version of this document will really provide an update of these bullet points, which are basically one-liners, making them into one-pagers and so more actionable while retaining an easy-to-understand approach. And then I feel, oh no, there's a second part that Michael and his small team worked on because it's really also relevant and important. We prepared kind of a dictionary of relevant terms so everybody can start speaking the same language, which is not always the case, and we felt it was important to do that. So this is just the first page of this really small dictionary from A to D, and like that it goes further. And I think now again I give the word to Jörg.
Thanks, Edwin. Yeah, this one, and very special thanks to Harley from RX, who put lots of hours into this compiling of a lot of materials we've been speaking about. So that's probably one of these issues the industry's hopefully been waiting for. And the other direction, Edwin, please, if you click yes, forward. What? Yeah, the next one probably. So that's what we've been publishing, and the first draft, as it says right here, it has been already compiled, but this is only a draft, and it can only be as good as we have active members contributing to this one. So what we think is important, it's not about the 100% accuracy at this point. What we think is, if you take a look at that, it's pretty easy to understand what we are trying to do here. We're trying to compile a list of all the, let's say, the 80-20 principle here, all the materials that are usually being used in trade shows, events, and the entire exhibition industry worldwide. So we compile this list and add all the descriptions plus all the commonalities we have in terms of the weight or the volume or whatever you refer to, and make this a usable list of the items that are being used frequently. And we have the emission factors collected. And of course, it is something where a lot of well, hours have been used for getting the categories all together, getting the first materials into this list. And that is something what can I not not exaggerating this, but seriously, this is a lot of work done by Harley, especially, who put in a lot of experience into that. And we try to collect even more partners into the further development of this list. And Edwin, if you click one further, it will tell you the principle of the whole thing. So we have the categories and we have subcategories to make this a very easy to use first draft, first tool that can easily be used by everyone in the industry who deals with materials in booth building, in events or exhibitions. So if you go through that, like flooring, covering, and carpet, so you can easily find a description of carpets, not by brand, but by describing the material. And we will list the emission factors there to make an easy to use adding a tool ready for you to really calculate the carbon footprint of a exhibit booth or whatever kind of building you have in the event. That at least to get it started by measuring what can be measured at this point. And if you move further, Edwin, what we plan for the next phase is that we really bring in more value by more accurate listings, more material that can be listed, and especially a guidebook how to use this tool. So there's two things. We need more people getting involved into really bringing specific and innovative materials into this list. So we need the exhibit houses, we need the agencies, we need all those guys who are producing material. That's only the kickoff. I have to be fair on that, even though this is great and this is what it looks like. We have this Excel spreadsheet, and that's what we did in this week, actually, beginning of this week. We have sent out a call for data to the entire IFIS community, which is the International Association of Service Providers, and we will send it even out to all the partner association of IFIS in the next couple of days to really ask for support by collecting and providing data for all the materials that are produced by members or whomever they all know, that we really ramp up the accuracy and the complete listings and categories, that we fill each of the categories up with existing material and even new stuff that is coming in terms of flooring, ceiling, technology, everything that is used, everything what you know, by having the emission factors listed in here. And what is important is, if you click one further, Edwin, is that we need a reference. We do need to make that public. Where's the source? It can be provided by the supplier, or it can be certified by third-party authorities to have an accuracy on the emission factors listed in here, so that we understand, hey, this is a secure source, and it's a neutral source. Actually, it's not just if you throw the dice, basically, to be on the safe side, we need to have accuracy in the game, that not every one of the producers is saying, I think it is an emission factor of X, Y, Z. It has to be accuracy in the game to make this a valid tool. And we need to understand that the amount of reusability is something we are tackling. It's not in this list as yet, but it will be in the updated version that will be sent out after we receive so the first data from producers of different material, that we really make ourselves understand how often in general can a material, and if you look into Edwin's company, B Matrix, producing aluminum posts, how often can we use them? And that is where we need to find a common ground within the industry to make this a useful tool, and that not everyone is kind of, not manipulating, but calculating differently, and putting into this tool different interpretations of reusability. So that has to have a common ground within the industry. And Edwin, you've been finishing early, so that's not the last slide, is it? Oh, it was actually, it was the last slide, yes.
It was the last slide.
Sorry
for that.
No worries. What I was trying to say is that we have done the first call for data. What we will continue doing is sending the whole thing out to different partner associations to make this list usable and kind of complete within the first quarter next year, to make it a usable tool in the second quarter, as we of course have to go through each of the materials that has been provided to double check the emission factors to make sure this tool will be usable. And that has to be our task within the Q2 to 2024, that we will provide the appropriate guidelines, the appropriate categories that have been kind of certified and validated together with Greenview. And I think the biggest angle will be a common understanding of reusable items, how often we can reuse them, and how transparent and reliable is the entire database, to make sure this is a tool that is an industry standard in future, and it is not something everybody can use in their own way. So that's where we need to have this guidance book for every party involved, whoever is going to make use of that in which way ever. So we will continue collecting data. So that is something probably we can announce already. There will be a team in this phase number 4 and phase number 5. Alex, I don't know how many phases we will have, but this was a continuous process to make this list every day a little bit better, because every day someone else will deliver new data, and that has to be integrated there. It doesn't mean we have a daily update, but probably a quarterly update of the list with improved resources, reliability and transparency. And yes, we will also develop the tools, how to use that further. Probably we can make it work. And this is, I forgot to mention that, a free of charge and free to use open source model here, which is still driving. We will see how far we can get there. The more support we get within NetZero, the more we can make it usable, the more and the better we can really develop the usability of the tools with a simple goal that we have an industry standard that will create transparency for everyone here in the industry. Because what we cannot afford to happen is that every single region in the world is using the data in a different way. So that is where we need the international collection of data and a full transparency and a kind of validation process behind the whole thing to make this a trustworthy tool for the entire industry. And that is probably one of the at least the potential we see here is that we have a master database for our industry, as long as we talk about booth building, booth construction, and all the materials involved into that. So that's a massive game changer within the industry, and we do need the support of that, and that will take a couple of weeks for sure. But again, our goal is that we release that as a common usable tool, tangible usable tool in the second quarter of 24. And yes, we will continue sharing best practices as one-pagers, not only bullet points, also in Q1 and Q2 next year, to really inspire others out of the industry, within the industry, to follow the good examples we have collected here. So that's my 5 cents to the material list.
Thank you so much, Jörg and Edwin. Really impressive work, of course, and we are so much looking forward to the further development of that material list. I think it has a great potential. And as I already mentioned in the press conference on Monday last week, I believe this really could have the potential of becoming the go-to document within our industry. Christian Druard is congratulating you on great results. Well done. Of course, this is something I think we all can agree with, as well as Helen Buttrick is thanking for some great resources for both food and food waste, as well as smart production and waste management. But Helen has another question regarding the draft material reference, that all the conversion factors are blank. Is that because we are waiting for data?
We are waiting for data because we've sent out the call for data, but we have already collected a lot of data out of the experience we have. We didn't want to show all the data here today, but there's a lot of data already in the draft list. But we are believing it's not complete as yet to showcase the whole list, so that would spoil the party today. But yes, for sure, we have lots of items already listed in the database, but it's not enough to make it a usable tool at this point, I would say.
Okay. Another question from Helen. Do you know when the data might be available?
We assume that we have data in Q1 and to be published in Q2 as a usable tool.
Okay.
Yeah, so we already also have data coming from official certification bodies like ICE, for example, but we are also negotiating with them if we can freely publish it or not. So that's another task we still have to do.
And the one thing, if I can just jump in here right now, the team has left the actual sources in the document. So if you go into those individual sources and look for those materials, you're going to be able to find those emission factors. So the team has definitely already done a lot of work, like Jörg and Edwin said, in the background. Right now, it's just really about the question of how can we best distribute this without, taking over someone else's work. But we, of course, want to make that process really transparent and follow all the rules.
Thanks, Johanna. Okay, are there any more questions for either Jörg and Edwin or Marloes? We will be happy to take them. Otherwise, of course, if you drop us a line on our general email address, in case you have forgotten to ask your question, we will certainly make sure that you will get the answer. And I don't see any questions, so then, as I said, we will publish this recording as soon as possible. So most probably it will be already online today. And on our side, we would like to wish you happy holidays. Thank you so much for having been part of this endeavor throughout 2023. And we're very much looking forward to what's going to happen in 2024. But for sure, it's going to be exciting stuff. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Merry Christmas.
Bye. Happy holidays.
Bye. Thank you.